Hey everyone, Duke Nuke 3D here with another peculiar item in my collection, and today I have for you this Italian set of Modello 888 Occhiali Antigas, or Model 888 Anti-Gas goggles. Little bit of history on these, not too much, but the Modello 888 were developed probably sometime in the 70s, I want to say. Again, there's not very much information on these, as a replacement to the older Modello 356 goggles, which you've probably already seen by now plenty of times, which had been in production since the 1940s by Pirelli. The Modello 888 are very similar in a lot of principles, but they are essentially a much revised modern upgrade, replacing we're not really replacing anything, but just introducing a lot of new features that were not present on the 356, such as the elliptical eyepieces for a wider range of view, upgraded artificial rubbers, and general safety ratings which were not present on the older goggles as well. And as far as I know, these are still in production today with DPI Secure, which was formerly known as Secure Pirelli, which obviously used to be just the Pirelli rubber company. So these were intended either as a standalone set of goggles for gas, dust, and light splash protection, or could be combined with a half-mask respirator of some sort for a combined full protection. The type of rubber that the goggles are made out of, obviously these are made out of black rubber, whereas the older 356 are made out of a gray natural rubber. I'm not entirely sure what type of rubber that the Model 888 are made out of. It seems like it might be some sort of derivative of PVC or vinyl, because the smell that the rubber has is a very faint, sweetish type of artificial smell, which is very reminiscent of, in fact, completely identical to my US M13A1 hospital head wound collective protector headpiece, which is, again, made out of a vinyl material, and it smelled completely identical to these set of goggles. So I'd have to assume that the rubber is vinyl, but I don't want to confirm that just because I haven't really found any confirmed sources that say what the rubber is. Did they just say non-allergenic artificial rubber? The goggles, or the eyepieces themselves, are made out of a Lexan polycarbonate, which is coated with a scratch-resistant and anti-fogging coating on both sides, and are held in place with a set of plastic clamps secured with a single flathead bolt and nut each. And then, obviously, the shape of the goggles are very strange, because I have never seen a set of goggles that does something quite like this. I mean, outside of like flight goggles maybe, but just in terms of gas goggles, most of them will typically have round lenses like this, and it's just very weird to see this peculiar elliptical lens shape. It's you don't see that very often, and it's very interesting. That's probably the main reason why I bought these. And I should also go out and to mention that the only reason I found out about these is because while I was researching the Modello 356, these also appeared here and there, so I was looking into those, and it turns out they're actually very hard to find on the US market. The only two places I had first found them for sale were a couple of British industrial online retailers selling them with a total price of a little over $60, at least converted, and that was way too much in my opinion for a set of these goggles. And how I actually got a pair was I actually found a set on a German BDSM fetish website selling for $20 less than the British industrial retailers. So laugh all you want, I got what I wanted, and you get to see a somewhat uncommon and very interesting set of goggles now. So the head strap of the goggles is a fairly simple affair, much improved over the Modello 356's very thin, flimsy rubber strap with the gas mask style buckles. These ones are more akin to a off-the-shelf diving mask. You see I got a very generic vintage style oval diving mask. It has a very similar buckle system, and one could theoretically take an off-the-shelf diving mask head strap as a replacement, and it would work, because obviously the same sort of attachment method. But enough about that. It's simple, and it needs to do what it needs to. So getting onto the details of the goggles themselves, I've already mentioned the rubber type. The eyepieces, I think I've mentioned, are made out of, Lexan polycarbonate. I already mentioned that. And they are safety rated. Let me get into the markings of these goggles. So on the center here in the forehead, you can see the 888 for the model number, and then you also have the DPI Secure logo in the center. You have a European Conformity Health and Safety Certification stamp on the top right, or the top left rather. That little CE stamp, you've probably already seen it a million times on other things. And then over here, we have another certification or a safety rating where it says EN166-5. EN166 is the code that refers to the general specifications of the item, and then the -5, or just the 5, refers that these goggles are protective against gas and fine particulates under 5 microns. The eyepieces are labeled DPI 1SN. And DPI is obviously the manufacturer. 1 refers to that the eyepieces are continuous use, meaning that you do not have to service them every so often or take them off. You can continually wear them while you work. The S refers to the fact that the eyepieces are extra strong in that let me look at the specifications again. That a 22 millimeter, 43 gram steel ball bearing was dropped on the eyepieces at a distance of 1.30 meters at a speed of 5.1 meters per second, and it did not break, shatter, or otherwise penetrate the eyepieces. And then the N refers to the fact that they are anti-fogging. So, very well-rated goggles, I must say. Getting on to the details, you can see that the screw, or hopefully you can, inside the plastic clamps there, and they're very easy to use, very easy to disassemble to replace the eyepieces. Everything can be taken apart with a single flathead screwdriver. Moving on to the interior, because there's one more feature that should be noted, is that unlike the older Modello 356, these have an actual pseudo-peripheral seal cushion that only is around the bridge of the nose. You can see there's 2 little cushiony pockets here, which are meant to provide a better seal around the nose. However, I do feel like this causes a bit of problems on its own, because they really should extend out to at least like right around here or so, because the fact that you have this little corner right here, this is where it usually likes to leak, at least on me, is these cushions will create a little sliver where air can get in, and then obviously one of the biggest problems is the bridge of the nose. I find these goggles are very comfortable. However, there is a decent bit of mold flashing still left over that I may end up trimming away, but I may not. But it does cause a little bit of discomfort in that regard, but otherwise the goggles are very comfortable and well sealing. It's just a couple little things that could have been improved slightly, but not by much. And then there's also a 07 stamp on the inside, and I'm not sure what that specifically refers to. Perhaps a production date of 2007, but that's not likely, or not really. I can't really say for sure. Not really much else to see on the interior. You get a better look at the mount where the buckles are. Interesting, there's another set of holes. They're not really holes. They're not punched all the way through, but it's just weird that there's a couple extra divots on each side just above where the buckles are molded through. And then there is some other writing on the upper part of the lenses. I'm not entirely sure what it says, and it's in Italian anyway, so I would need to have it translated, but I literally cannot read that because the text is so small and jumbled together. The only complaints that I have about these goggles, aside from the aforementioned leaking issue, which isn't as bad typically, or the fact that there's mold flashes, the main issue I see with these goggles is the fact that the center, the very center of these goggles is probably the thinnest part, right between the bridge of the nose there. This is where it's going to be most prone to failure, in my opinion, but it doesn't seem like it will just because it's very sturdy rubber. And again, I wish I knew what type of rubber it was, but, you know, just could have been a bit better reinforced in that area, but whatever, it is what it is. So, that being said, that's really all I have to say about these. Hopefully I showed them off enough for what they're worth, and they're very interesting. I absolutely love these. I don't know why. They're just so bizarre, but I love them. But anyhow, that's about it. Hope you learned a thing or two and got a chance to see a very uncommon set of goggles, at least in the US. So that being said, hope you leave any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns down in the comments below. I'm Duke with 3D, and I'll see you all later.